Welcome everyone to Tuesday Tea Time. I am here with Candu. It's Candu's last week before she ships for Florida to join my daughter, and I'm gonna miss her. I won't lie, keeping a thoroughbred is a lot more work than keeping mustangs. So, once this girl goes on to her new home, and I am left with my mares and my geldings and my stallions, my life will get a little bit easier. The routines for a horse in the Pacific Northwest, where it's wet and it's cold and it's rainy, requires a lot more food and special care. And so, as much as I'm gonna miss this little one, I'm also looking forward to my life getting a little bit easier. So today, I can see Candu is going to be right here with us for tea time. She's investigating my shoes. She's going to chew on my shoes a little bit. Hi. Candu has a very high play drive. She likes to get action going. She gets really happy when there's a lot of action. So while I'm sitting here drinking tea and talking to you guys, she might try and provoke me into action, which I will deal with as it comes up. She's pretty peaceful here in the sun, so I don't think there's going to be too much. Yeah, hello Carissa. Her name is Candarosa, but we call her Candu for short. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about dominance and jealousy in horse herds, because I've had actually a lot of questions recently from a lot of different people about this subject. And I'm going to see, I think I can turn my video around here a little bit so you can see the mares as they're grazing. We have Candu and Cleo and Myrna on opposite sides of the fence. And the reason for this is that Candu is, she's a provoker. She likes to stick her nose and her body in and provoke reactions. Unfortunately, when you provoke my mustangs, they sometimes come back with a lot more force than expected. And we don't want Candu to get hurt before she travels. Now, if she were going to live here full time, I would absolutely integrate her into the herd. But because she was only here for a short time, it didn't feel worth the stress of having them need to figure out their differences. So we kept them on separate sides of the fence. But the thing that I want to talk about today is, yes, actually, Carissa, I think that Candu and Ocasio would get along very well. I think they would have a marvelous time together, which is funny because they're both horses my daughter picked out. There's something, I guess she has a type. Anyway, the thing that I wanted to talk about was what you do when there is dominance in a herd. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera around again. What I find is that a lot of people go out to work with their horses in the herd, and they find that horses are jealous of their company, as in everybody wants to be close to the human, and nobody wants to share that closeness with the other horses. And when you have that happen, people are not really sure what to do about it. Do I defend my horse? Do I chase off the other horses that are having a fight? What do I do when the horses are arguing or fighting in my space? And I will say, the very best fast thing to do is absolutely to send them out of your space. You can be dominant, you can be clear, and you can do whatever it takes to send them out of your space so everyone stays safe. This sort of sets a clear dominant boundary about what's acceptable behavior and what's not. This is not really freedom-based training, because what you're doing is you're telling the horses that their choices were inappropriate. If you fight around me, I am going to either defend a horse or drive you off or take some action that causes you to make a different behavior next time. All right. So in freedom-based training, we really try and honor the choices that a horse would make in freedom, even if they're bad choices. We want to try and honor the horse's choices and let them evolve and develop and slowly and gradually build better choices. Now, you don't always have time for that. So safety first, be safe first and foremost. If it's safe enough, what I encourage everyone to do is notice what happens before there's a problem, okay? What happens before the fight comes up, before that stress gets high enough that horses start to dominate each other or fight? What happens before they get jealous of your company? In freedom-based training, we try and notice patterns and trends. And if we can respond to a pattern or a trend before the problem is too big, we can nudge it in the right direction in a really slow, gradual evolution. So this means if I am approaching the gate and all the horses are crowded at the gate and they're going to fight over who gets to go through the gate first, who gets to talk to me, I'm going to turn and walk away. And I'm going to go somewhere else, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to advance and retreat. I'm going to walk up and I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to walk up and I'm going to walk away. I'm going to stay safe, but I'm going to make it clear to them that I only get involved when their stress is lower. And this is the key to freedom-based training. They are free to make whatever choices they want to make, but it becomes very clear to them that I participate more, and they want me to participate because their stress is lower, because they've chosen to work in safe social ways, not chosen to work in self-defensive ways. So anytime you see that jealousy or anger or self-defensiveness start to come up, or even the thing that happens before it, if you can notice the thing that happens before they get jealous or self-defensive and go into action and say, I am not part of that. Whatever that stress trend is, I'm not part of it. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to go do something different. I'm going to stay in action in a safe way. And I will come back and I will be in harmony and flow and interactive when the horses start to exhibit safe social behaviors. And this doesn't happen overnight. This is not fast, and it relies a little bit on consistency. But what I find is when you lead by example this way, so let's say I can see the stress starting to come up. I can see my horses are starting to interact in a way that's going to lead to some sort of a fight. Candy wants to say hello again. Anytime I see my horses acting in a way that might lead to some kind of a fight, if I take a walk that stress off, the horses are going to notice my behavior. And at some point, some of them are going to start to mimic my behavior. It may take a while, but if the horses start to see the stress go up and they start to walk away from the fight, there's no fight anymore. The dominance is gone. And it doesn't take everybody learning it to solve the problem. Okay, it takes two to tango, it takes two to fight. With dominance, it takes one to freeze before the other can dominate them. It's hard to dominate someone who's never in the right place to get a kick or a bite or a punishment. If they're just not there, they can't be dominated. So if any of the horses in the herd figure out to copy my behavior, I see the stress is rising, I'm going to walk away from this, take a walk, and come back and rejoin the herd when stress is lower. If the herd starts to mimic this behavior, the dominance, the jealousy, all of those behaviors just melt away. Now, this is not fast. This is very, very slow. It's a slow evolution, and there's a lot of repetition before the horses start to sort of pick up on it. But yeah, I agree, Sandra. It's a really useful topic to think about. If you're in a hurry, if it's unsafe, absolutely, you're gonna put a little bit more dominant boundary on it. You're gonna either protect the horse that's being attacked, or send all the horses to take a walk, or you're gonna do something that keeps everybody safe sooner. But you get to decide, how urgent is this? Is this a real safety issue? If it's a real safety issue, I've got to do something faster. I've got to do something bigger. If it's not a real safety issue, then your behavior becomes an example for the rest of the herd. And, you know, if you think about it, if I walk into the herd and one horse goes to fight another horse and I step in the middle, I'm threatening the same way they're threatening each other. I might be doing it better, but I am threatening them the same way they're threatening each other, which means I am perpetuating the cycle of somebody needs to dominate someone else before harmony can be found. And that's not really a cycle I want to dominate. It's not a cycle that I want to perpetuate. I absolutely will, particularly with my stallions. With my stallions, where real serious injury is likely, and there have been a few times where I didn't step in fast enough, I will absolutely stop them from hurting each other. But that's an unusual situation. Most people don't have fully grown stallions living together. You know, my mustangs are particularly aggressive, I find. And I really think that has to do with growing up in the wild where there were real mountain lions and wolves and things that would kill them. And so for them, the herd has to agree, and they have to agree today, not tomorrow. And that means that if there's a disagreement, they're going to fight it out, figure out who's making the decisions, and all of those things have to happen very fast. Because they lived in a world with real danger, they're not comfortable with the slow evolution of deciding how herd structure works. And this has been interesting for me because I wanted to think of the mustangs as sort of perfect. But they come with a really short trigger on environmental stress. So if they feel like the environment is not safe, they will pick some fights between each other to make sure everyone's paying attention. Everybody's tension is high enough that if something bad were to happen, everybody could run fast enough. Everybody is ready to defend themselves. I had this very fairy tale sort of magical story in my mind that I wanted mustangs to be 100% emotionally stable. And what I found is that they are all more or less emotionally stable depending on their life experiences and their habits and their patterns. And I found that I can really help them by setting a really good example and showing them a different way they could be in a safe situation. And it's slow, it's gradual, but I really like it. I really like the process. Angela says, will this work where one dominant will chase anyone away, the others don't challenge him, they just stay across the paddock? So you have to ask, you know, why is that one dominant chasing the others away? What does he get out of it? Does he really want more space? In which case, you know, it's all working out the way he wanted. And I don't know that you're really going to change that until you develop him a different desire in that horse. Does he not want to share the food because it's limited or it feels limited? You know, in that case, there's so many factors. I can't answer your question exactly. What I was specifically addressing is jealousy of horses to get to you, to get to the human. And, you know, if that is the case, okay, if your one dominant horse is chasing the other horses away because he wants to spend time with you, if you just keep moving and you don't spend time with him until he's willing to let the other horses come a little closer or be a little bit more interested, and that's when he's allowed to get time with you, then his behavior will change. There has to be some reason for them to lower their dominant behavior. And, you know, if they're getting everything they want by picking a fight, then yes, it's probably not going to go away. But the idea is that horses want herd structure. They want bonding. And sometimes they're really bad at how they go about building it. Like they think a fight will lead to a stronger herd structure. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the horses that we're talking about. But in general, we have to prove to them, you get the thing you want. You get the herd structure, you get the bonding, you get the connection, you get the harmony when you start to act in more safe and social ways instead of getting it because you picked a fight. And, you know, that's a little bit of a shift that not all horses have had an opportunity to learn. And that's what I would do in a freedom-based training kind of way. And Neely says, hi Elsa, thanks a lot for sharing. Really nice topic. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I've been thinking about it a lot this week. Yeah, Carissa, it's about being a little bit more aware and aware of the options. You know, we have a lot of different options. And if we think about all the different options, we get to think, well, is faster make sense right now? Does slower make sense? Does a little bit deeper, slower process get me where I want to go? Or do I need to really defend the situation and keep everybody safe? So yes, Angela, that's the answer. He gets you to himself. So if you keep rewarding him with your company every time he chases the other horses off, that behavior is going to continue to develop because you are reinforcing it. Now, he doesn't have to let the horses nuzzle him to get your company, but you want to start thinking, when is he behaving in a way where he lets them be a little bit closer before you give him your company? And we just work really incrementally, small steps. When is it a tiny bit better? That's when I offer the horse my harmony and my flow and my companionship and all those things. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be better. So that's some food for thought for you guys. I am about to take my 3 mares down the hill to a new grazing pasture. And it's a beautiful sunny day. As you can see, it keeps shining over my shoulder. Not a bad day for the beginning of December. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are. And let me know if there's any topics you'd like me to talk about next Tuesday.